I've been sitting for the last hour, I'm gonna say, watching Made in Chelsea, trying to decide, will I film this video first or will I have my ravioli first? Thinking I really want to have my ravioli, but I probably should film the video first. And an hour has gone by when I haven't done either of those things. So that is why we are now here. We're just gonna make some ravioli and then we're gonna film this video, which is all about how I plan my schedule for the autumn term of final year of my PhD as somebody who has 4 jobs. I'll get into how I do it in time blocking, using Google Calendar, but then also putting it into Notion in my own way, and what all of those jobs that I have and how I manage my time efficiently as a PhD student with all these things going on in just a moment. But first, ravioli. Okay, I feel better now. I hope you feel better now knowing that I've had that. Okay, so let's get into today's video. As a PhD student, I have obviously the work of a PhD to do, but I also have a couple of other things in my life to think about when it comes to planning my autumn schedule. In addition to the main sort of research work that comes with doing a PhD, I also have to think about teaching hours. So I have some where I'm doing more so assisting in classes if anybody has any questions about their computer science course they're doing, that I can help with that. And then this year I'm also doing some lecturing. So I have those sort of hours. So all of that I'll sort of bundle up into teaching. And then I also have a business that I run, which is a speech and drama school based in Dublin. And that is a pretty big venture now. We have 10 part-time and full-time employees, and we have about 250 students. So there's a lot that goes into that, and I teach some of my own classes, but then I also have the work to do with actually running the business as well. And then I also have, so that's my third job technically. And then my last one is all of this work on social media with this YouTube channel, Instagram, which I haven't been doing in months, yikes. But I will be soon, so stay tuned. And then I also have like everything else that I need to do. So when I'm planning my schedule, I like to start off in Google Calendar because I like the way the different blocks work, and I use a method called time blocking to block different parts of my day into different tasks. And it's estimated based on the book Deep Work by Cal Newport that you can get about 60 hours of good work done in 40 hours if you are sort of scheduling yourself better. The reason for that is when we are constantly switching between different types of tasks, so moving from like emails to try and write your thesis to more emails or meetings, if we're constantly switching back and forth, the brain loses, I think, an average of 17 minutes when we switch contexts in terms of trying to focus on something. So if we have something that we need to focus on, for example, for me it'd be programming or writing, then we need to just be in that zone working on that for a longer period of time. So when I'm doing this sort of work and trying to organize my schedule, I'm typically looking for where can I fit in those blocks of focused work. The first thing that I do when I am planning my schedule is I will start by putting in all of the things that are fixed. And what that means is that they have to happen at a specific time, and there's usually some like outside forces that are in control of that I don't have control of. So for me, that would be the hours that I'm doing any of that teaching work, whether it's for the business that I run or if it's for university related teaching. Those specific hours that are at specific times, I need to put those in first because I can't really change those at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. I also then just want to add in any travel time related to the different specific appointments that I have, because all of these nearly are in person. So I'm just adding in some travel time, and usually I make good use of my travel time in that I'm either walking, or if I'm getting the bus, I would be listening to a podcast or reading a book. So I do sort of consider it personal time, and I try and really make the most of that time when it's there, because as you'll be seeing, I don't get a lot of personal time. So I try to use that time well, basically, and I don't try and spend it like scrolling social media. So what I do after this is I try to then look at when will be the times that I can fit in blocks of deep work. So when can I fit in blocks of 3 or 4 hours where I can get a large amount of work done. And so I can see some spaces on the calendar where I do have time in between things to get some work done. So I'm going to go ahead and add in some of those deep work sessions. Specifically, I'm going to be using my deep work just for PhD work for this next upcoming term. I'm making the decision not to take any big projects on other than my PhD, I think, for the foreseeable year. So that means basically all of these blocks will be going to my PhD. So what I do after I put in these deep work blocks, and the reason I put these in first is because it's a lot easier to fit other things around when those are in there. You can fit everything else into the times where things are a bit more messy, but it's kind of hard to find those 3 or 4 hour blocks unless you are doing them first, if that makes sense. So what I then do is I think about all of the other commitments in my life. So I've covered my teaching commitments. I've covered some of the commitments that I have to the drama school, which is just the basic hours that I would be running. And then I also have covered my sort of basic PhD commitments. And there's lots of other commitments that I have in my life. So what I like to do is I make a list of those, and I then figure out, okay, how can I spend the rest of my time in terms of those commitments? Or how much of my time do I need to allocate to each of these? So some of the commitments that I have are firstly to my personal care, my personal well-being and health. That's probably one of the most important things to take care of pretty early on, is when is the time that you're going to be looking after yourself. So I'll add that in now with regards to meal times, which I think if anybody has been super busy before, they might understand that you can often end up skipping meals if you're really busy. But also time for exercise, and then time for some rest. So I will have some rest in the travel time that I've already put in, because I will be sort of making those nice times for myself. But like, for example, you can see on Tuesdays, I'm going to be working from about 8:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. with pretty much no break. And that means that the night before, I would probably be best off taking it easy and trying to spend a lot of that time for myself. I'll sort of figure out what that will exactly entail beforehand, but it's basically like self-care time, so that the next 2 days at least, where I'm working pretty much 8:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. both days, I will have had a bit of self-care time leading up to that to hopefully try and make that feel better. And so the same way, I can add in an hour and a half for a walk and a lunch break on a Wednesday, so that I have that time. And same way I can add in a sort of generous lunch break. So then the other times that I like to add in things will be in the mornings. So sort of mixing between yoga and going to the gym. And I think I want to try and go to yoga a good bit. And I'm just going to extend that time, so there's the time afterwards for like showering, having breakfast. That's all included. I don't really feel the need to specify all of that. I'm just going to put it all into that time. Thursday morning, it'll be a bit earlier for the gym on a Thursday morning because Jack is up really early for work. I do also typically like to go to the gym on a Sunday morning. Again, Jack is up early, so I think I will be going for around 7:30. Saturday, I don't do much. But I do typically like to go for a nice like lunchtime walk, so I'm going to put that in as just a full 2-hour block. In terms of personal care, then we would also have things like housework, so doing things for the house, and that's also, I guess, sort of a separate commitment, but for me it's important for my well-being. If the house is clean and tidy, and if I have done my meal prep and all of that, that's really more of a self-care thing for me than a commitment to the house. So I'm going to add in some time for that on a Saturday morning and a Sunday morning. And then I probably don't need both of these, but it can help to have both. So let's say that that is our pretty important commitment sorted out next. Some of the other commitments that I have then, like just based on what's already in the calendar, we have the commitment to the teaching hours. So those are not totally self-contained. The two for my sort of assisting hours are, but the other two, there will be some prep involved. And same way for my teaching classes, there's a bit of prep involved. So I want to add some time for that, but looking at my schedule, I don't really see where I'm exactly going to want to do that. So I'm going to put that in for Sunday, and it's going to be prep work for each of those. So I also have obviously other commitments with the drama school. So we're opening 2 new venues this year, and those are both happening on a Friday. So a lot of the times I'll probably want to go to the venues and check out to make sure how things are going in the venues. And so I'm going to block out some time on the Friday for that. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out that time such that even if I'm not checking in on the venue that week, I can just use that as my admin time that I would have to do at some point in the week. It just means then that it's not like messing with my week the weeks that I do want to check in on them. It just means that that's what my admin hours are going for that week. The same way, there are a lot of classes on a Saturday, and I probably will have some weeks where I do the whole day on a Saturday working in the drama school, but it probably won't be as often. Whereas there are a couple of weeks where we have a teacher who might be out and there's no one really else who can cover those classes. So I'd like to put myself available for those, and for that I'll need to block off those times. So I'm going to block off some time on a Saturday and a Monday for, again, admin if I'm not needed, but to be there if I am, basically. And I'll probably be there for the first week of term anyways, but otherwise it's just good to have that in the calendar, and then I just don't really need to like rearrange things if I have to do it on a given day. So you can see most of the days I have my deep work in the morning, and then I have other work in the afternoon. Sometimes I think on the Monday and Friday, for example, I might end up switching those around, because sometimes I feel it's probably mostly going to be on the Monday. I might feel a bit overwhelmed with things that I need to do for the drama school, and then it can help to get all of that done in the morning and then have the afternoon to do more so deep work. So next I want to look at what are the commitments that I have in my personal life to other people. So that would be my partner, friends and family. So I want to add in a couple of blocks where I can put in proper quality time with the people in my life, and that's something that is really important to me. And so I'm going to do that in all of the sort of free evening times or anything like that that I do have some time for. So the way I've sort of organised this as well, this also takes into account some of the family commitments that I have. First of all, my dad lives in Galway, and so every once in a while I'd like to get down to Galway to visit. I'm hoping around once a month for the autumn term. And so that means that I need to have my Fridays and Saturdays reasonably clear, and stuff that I can easily take off. And so Fridays and Saturdays there I can easily take off, and the same like Thursday evening I can easily take off. There's nothing set that I have to do on those days, except for some of the days where I might be covering classes or visiting the new venues on a Friday. But the weeks that I'm not, or the weeks that I'm not there on a Saturday either, I can go down to Galway. And so that'll take a bit more planning, but at least that's there as an option. And so that's why the majority of the sort of housework planning and what I'm going to add in finally, which is my YouTube work, I put them on a Sunday because we'll usually be back on a Sunday, and it means I can still do that work and it doesn't get pushed out. So YouTube work is the last thing to go in, pretty much, and that is just sort of the way things go. I think for this upcoming term it's going to be very difficult to manage the social media, so what I'm hoping to do is spend a good bit of each week vlogging, so that basically all of the filming is done for the Sunday, and then it means I can just edit things on a Sunday and not have it be something where I necessarily have to sit down and film videos. But if I am going to do that, I'll probably do that on a Sunday, and then just try and edit 2 videos in that time. So I don't know how realistic that is. Same way for like any Instagram content, I'm hoping I'd be able to get that done in that 4-hour block as well, and then it would mean that I could just schedule those posts to go out when I'm doing my travel time. So if I'm walking somewhere or if I'm on the bus, I can just schedule the posts to go out. And the last thing I just need to think about is my family commitments in terms of my dog Lola. So I would mind her about 2 days a week. I think the best time for me to do that would be Wednesday and Thursday, because the majority of the work, like on Wednesday, I have online teaching and I have my PhD work, and then I have my teaching for my drama school in the evening. Pretty much probably Wednesdays and Thursdays I'll be in my family home, and then I want to be in the drama school office, which we just have gotten. That's like a big news for me. I'll probably update you on this properly at another stage, but I'll probably try and go in there like once or twice a week. So that'll probably end up being, based on what I'm looking at in my schedule here, probably Monday and Friday. And then depending on whether I'm going to those venues, I'd just be there for a half day. Otherwise I'd probably just stay for the full day. And then that would mean Tuesday I'm probably going to be in the UCD office. Tuesday, because I'm teaching on campus, I'll be on campus, and then I'll have to go to one of the venues for the teaching hours. And then Saturday and Sunday I probably will just be at home and like not leave the house pretty much at all. Except for when I have to go places. Yikes. I do really like having my Sundays mostly at home. And yeah, so I think that is it. This might be a bit overwhelming for some, but this is how I schedule my time to fit in about 60 hours of work for 4 jobs. You can see I have like 18, I think, hours of deep focused PhD work. I have another maybe 12 hours of teaching for like university teaching, and then I have 25 hours, give or take, for the drama school, which includes about 10 hours of teaching and 15 hours of admin pretty much. It's maybe half and half between the two. And then I have also another 4 hours of work for my social media. So it ends up being around 60 hours of work for 4 jobs. That is it. That is my schedule for autumn 2020 as a final... Still living in 2020. That is my schedule for autumn 2022 as a final year PhD student. So what I do with this then, it's taken me a long time to really figure out how I like things in terms of where I keep my schedule. So I actually don't use Google Calendar for this. I typically just make this once and then I screenshot it and I'll put it into my Notion. Is that the most practical thing in the world? I don't know. There are a couple of other options. So Holly has recently made a video about how to properly sync up your Notion and your Google Calendar. I don't want to do it, but it's a really cool video. So if you want to do that, definitely watch that video. I don't like using Notion's calendar. I've tried a bunch of different ways of doing this. I've made my own sort of schedule in Notion twice, and I think the second one I liked a lot more and it was a lot better, but it's just not really super practical. So I've just found that this is the best way that I can do. I screenshot and I stick it in there, and that's what I use as sort of like a guideline for the day, like for a given week. But obviously this might change slightly week to week if I have a random other appointment. So this is more like a guideline schedule. So like if you were to have a notebook and at the beginning of the notebook you put your general schedule, this is what that is. But then there is my actual calendar where I only put the stuff that is like a reminder or something that's not usually on that day or something that is fixed to be on that day. So that's where I'll just put my actual appointments, sort of things that I have to be done at a specific time on a specific day. Any deadlines, any reminders of appointments, anything like that, they just go there. And I usually just use these two. This is what I look at in my dashboard every day. I'll start by looking at my calendar because that's like what's on this day that has to be done this day and everything like that. Then I'll look at what's my general schedule and I'll be okay, I'll try and stick to that. And then on top of that, I'll go into like whatever tasks I should be working on based on my task management. And that's pretty much how I do things. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope that you enjoyed. Hope that it's useful. Hope that you're not afraid. Hope you are doing well. thanks so much for watching. Thanks to all of my wonderful members as always. If you got to this point in the video and you're not subscribed yet, I would love if you would subscribe. I'd love if you'd leave me a little comment down below. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's going on. Honestly, like, I feel recently especially very disconnected from the audience here. So please have a chat with me in the comments so I don't feel so alone putting these videos out into the world. That would be super nice. And I'll see you all again soon.